This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by American Helix. The American Helix is a revolutionary new concept in smoking technology. Designed and manufactured by American glassblowers, this pipe is light years ahead of its time. Based on Bernoulli's principle, the shape of the pipe along with an innovative intake system creates a Venturi effect through precision microholes in the chamber, which results in a slower burn that conserves tobacco and gives a smooth, refreshing smoking experience, making the American Helix the smoothest hitting pipe on the market. For further info or to locate their products, you can find them online at AmericanHelix.com. That's AmericanHelix.com. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of December 2016, Mountain Glass is offering their Boro sale. Troutman First Quality Rod at 30% off. Just put in the coupon code TAG at checkout. That's TAG. And don't forget that freight or sample packs do not apply to this sale. And for all you soft glass nerds, their Jewelry Making Essentials Kit are 25% off. Just put in the code JEWELRY at checkout. That's JEWELRY. And don't forget they'll be closed from December 24th through January 2nd of 2017 so they can spend time with their families and friends during the holiday season. For any comments, questions, or concerns, just go to mountainglass.com. That's mountainglass.com. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 142. This is Jay Michael, your host, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Today is a special episode as we reflect on 2016 and close out this year, as it's been an exciting year for all of us in this industry. We've seen this industry and community of the functional glass world grow leaps and bounds as laws have changed, communities have grown, and artists have come into our industry, as well as other kind of brands and outside kind of things going on, which has been pretty awesome. And this episode is going to be covering the idea of reflection and really to stop and sit and think about this past year, almost 365 days now. As I'm recording this is now the 29th of December. And it's pretty crazy to think that's already December 29th. I mean, holy shit, where has this year gone? But the whole point is that usually this time of the year, you know, we all like to put our gas pedal, per se, down to the floor as hard as we can to wrap up our year and finish up orders and stuff, which is good. But it's also time to take our foot off the gas and slow it down a little bit and really sit back and reflect on this year, on all your wins and your losses and the what have you nots and what have yous and, you know, all that good stuff. To really see what you can, fine tune and pinpoint and redo or make better to make the next year and any time period after that a more productive year for yourself. It's all life is all about learning lessons, and when it comes to our businesses and our art, it's just as important. And without reflecting on that and understanding the growth that we have to have, really, what's the point of even really doing it? That's kind of my opinion. So if you sit down and really think about what this year is all about, you're going to be surprised in the memories you're going to have and some of the aches and pains we've gone through, individually. And then you can find out how to improve it. Things you can do better, things you shouldn't do. Maybe you should have said no to a certain thing, that kind of stuff, which we're going to get into. And there will be a link in the show notes you can click on that'll take you to a downloadable PDF that'll go right to your email that you can just print out and fill out and really have a heart-to-heart with yourself and really find, again, ways to improve yourself personally, but also your business and your glass and your customer experience. And, none of us are perfect, and we all, our whole goal, again, is just to continuously improve, on a personal level and an artistic level. So I definitely hope this does help you out, as we'll be going over this here in a second. But before we do, I want to just definitely give a big shout out and thanks to all of our sponsors who have come on the show this year to help run and finance and keep this thing going, because this does cost me money to put this out, not only time, but also financially wise. And I would continue to do it even if I didn't have any sponsors. To me, it's worth the value to put my money out there for you to have the value in return, time and, monetarily as well. So definitely want to thank them first and foremost, who the company's been on more or less since day one, which is Mountain Glass. They've been one of our major foundational sponsors, and this month they've hooked you all up with a special discount, 35% off Northstar First. It does exclude the Illuminati and Lucy Glow Glass, as well as the Wonder Bars. And you have one more day or 2 more days left to get on this sale. All you have to do is put in the code WNS at checkout, and you'll receive 35% discount on that. So definitely load up on your Northstar First qualities before the year ends. Take full advantage of that. Also need to give a big shout out to Chris Bach as that C-Cube Co. He was one of our guests on our show, as well as just awesome that he came on board and helped out for a while. We have The Flow Magazine, which is, if you're not familiar, is an online and also paper magazine that is really big on helping the community grow, teaching lessons, exposing artists who may not get exposure, and just kind of giving the whole world an overall exposure to our industry, not just the functional scene, but just the glass art world in general. It's really awesome that they are on board and have been doing what they've been doing forever. And not only forever, but for a long damn time. Things I know myself personally, I have learned from the magazine, just personal benefits as well as art. So if you haven't yet subscribed to The Flow, whether you get in their online version or their actual paper and hand version, go to theflowmagazine.com and check them out for sure. Also, we're going to give a big shout out and thanks to Will Menzies and Jennifer Menzies, not only with The Flow magazine, but also with American Helix coming on board and sponsoring the show, being the first... or I should say the first, actually the second glass company to come on board as an actual manufacturer product to sponsor the show. So big shout out to them. The first company, actually, whoever sponsored the show was Green Flash Glass, and I got to continue to give them love and thank you to them, their crew up here, up in Tallahassee, Florida. They were the very first sponsors to come on board, which helped really get the show launched off and got some things going. So everybody and anybody who's been a part of the show, thank you so much for helping us out. Anybody who's ever contacted me, just any downloads. Obviously, if you're listening to the show, you've downloaded the show. Or if you have a different type of podcast app, you're just listening to it. But either way, thank you from the bottom of my heart for this year. The numbers have been huge. Going for some certain goals I have this month of having at least 10,000 download minimum. My goal for October was 5,000, which we exceeded that. And then I wanted to increase it, obviously, for November to see the continued response, and it did. And this now month, we're on track to hit 10,000. Because of this is going out a little bit later, I have been fighting a cold all week, like really bad, something going on. And I wasn't able to record, really didn't have a voice, a lot of sneezing and sniffling. I didn't think you'd want to be listening to that in your ears while you're out and about or on the torch. So I decided to hold off, and you're going to be getting more or less 3 episodes. One today, or the end of today, which is today is Thursday, the 29th. Tomorrow's Thursday. I have 2 interviews going out, so definitely enjoy those. So I'll just end up taking some of the numbers from the beginning of January and add them in December, kind of thing, to cheat a little bit, I guess. But yeah, so this show's been increasing in popularity and just continued support, so thank you. One way you can show support for the show is by going to iTunes and leaving us a review. And also, whether it's a written review, but also a 5-star if you think we deserve it. And by reviewing the show on iTunes, it helps to, with their algorithms and computer whatever, really helps to bring the show up in the ranks and categories that we're in and gives the show more exposure, which then exposes our industry and community to a broader audience, which I know as we become more and more mainstream, per se, it's helpful not only to have ourselves exposed through social media, but also here in this form as a podcast. And I'm really excited about it. So again, thank you so much. And I also want to thank all those that participated in our Secret Santa event this year. We did the pendant trade. It was the first time going through the process of trying to find out how to, myself personally, to manage it. And part of going back and reflecting on the year, that was one of the things I have actually reflected upon, and how to make it better so it's actually feasible for myself, but also for those that participate, to make sure that everybody involved is participating. This Secret Santa pennant trade, not everybody specifically participated. There was a couple of people that did not, and it's okay. Shit happens. I know through email and messaging and every ways I was communicating with everybody. We're really going to make sure that this time around that it's all via email, so we're all in the same communication style and format. And it's one of those areas of my business that I'm going to be delegating. I actually have several areas that I'm going to be delegating this year between the website and the newsletters and different areas that I love to do myself, but I know because I'm rushing through different things because of my time schedule that I have, that they could be much better if I delegated them to somebody else who is better at that activity. And that's some things to think about in terms of your business that we're going to get into, like whether it's shipping or emailing or what have you. You know, we could do everything in our business, but in all reality, when you bring somebody on board to help, it's going to allow you to have some relief from that task, but potentially the person that's going to be taking the task is going to be better at it than you are. Without further ado, I think it's time for us to get into the year of reflection, and so here we go. So now we're going to get into Reflection 2016, and this is really where you need to stop, slow down a little bit, if not stop completely, and just reflect on the past year. And what I've done, again, as I've mentioned before, is I have a link that you can click on that will send you to a PDF download that will have this worksheet, and I'm calling it my annual reflection worksheet. It's basically 4 pages, and the 2 first pages are the failures, and then the last 2 pages are your successes. And I had you do the failures first because typically failures, and I don't like to use the term failures in the terms of like I failed at this, but it's basically that's something that didn't go quite as planned, took a little bit longer than expected, or just completely was a failure. I mean, we do have failures, but they're all things that we do in life that we can learn from and learn how to do better at it so that next time it either is less of a failure or it becomes actual success or a great success. Or maybe it was something that you should just completely have cut out and not even done at all, and then there's nothing, no final reaction or whatever result. I guess I'm looking for the word. So some questions to ask yourself when it comes to reflecting on the year, and I did again failures because this is important to start first because these again are the clearest memories that we generally have. Because as we all know, for every 1,000 compliments we get 1 negative response. It completely annihilates all those 1,000 compliments. We focus on the 1 bad. And as much as we don't like to do that, it's just nature and the way our brains work. You know, it's kind of the way it is. It kind of sucks, but it's the truth. So I decided to go ahead and start with those failures. And in this PDF, you'll see there's like 5 numbers lines you can fill out. If you have 5 events, if there's only 2 or 3 you can think of, that's fine. But just basically made some space for you to take your notes. And also if you need to take another separate sheet or write on the back of your page, whatever you need to do just to continue to expound upon your ideas and thoughts. But really the idea is to get all your thoughts and ideas on paper so you have a clear vision of what your years look like. And then you can go through your notes and really fine tune it and think about how you can improve in these areas for 2017. First is what events stand out the most that you would consider to be your biggest failures. Now, myself personally, I know that one of my failures I did this year was some of my slacking on my customer service. I had several orders that either took way longer than expected, customers weren't happy with the final product they received, and so I had to sit down and ask myself why the hell this went down. So the next question I have is, what is it about these events that made them a failure? I had to think about what was it about these events that I was not good at. Then the third thing I want to ask is, what would you have done differently to make these failures a success or make it so that the event never happened in the first place? Typically, that is just by saying no. The fourth question I asked myself was, what lessons learned can you carry over into similar events to make them successful the next go-around? So as your year comes up, something that comes up that's similar to a failure or something that you failed at or were not successful at, what did you learn from that specific event, and what can you now do differently to make that event better this time and make it an actual success? And then the last question I have for you is, in the event that failed, do you think delegating specific tasks to another person or team would have made it a more of a successful event? And then write down which failures would have potentially benefited by delegating tasks, and write down the tasks that you would have had delegated. And again, with myself, I'm delegating many things this now go around. I have a team I'm putting together. They're not going to be full-time employees of mine. They're going to be kind of side contracted in a sense. But it's going to be people that will help me run things way smoother so that my newsletters go out every week, my podcast posts on time, all my show notes are done. Just got to think about this stuff. So really, truly sit down and fill these forms out. It's take you all of maybe an hour to really sit down and brainstorm and have a heart-to-heart. And then while you're on the torch or whatever you're doing, you can sit back and contemplate about these questions again and really think about what is it that you can improve upon. And now we get into the successes. And this is where we're going to focus on the wins. And I say the failures first because the failures, again, wounds are typically easier to recall. And the first question I ask is, what successes stand out most from the previous year? I can say myself personally, one of my things that I had as a success in my life was basically a PowerPoint presentation that I did for the company I work for over at Disney. I had to sit down, I had to plan out how I was going to make this thing happen. It took me about 2.5 months, but it got done, and it got done by a deadline, and it was successful. The response from it was incredible, way more than actually I expected. And now it's opened up doors for me through my company that I honestly wasn't sure was even going to be a possibility. But again, it took a plan of attack to make that happen. A lot of times in my life, personally, I like to just improvise and jump into things feet first and just see what happens and learn as I go. But I'm finding that by doing that, it actually creates more work for myself and takes more energy and time away from everything else that I need to get done in my life. The second successful question I like to ask is, what was it about each successful event that allowed them to be successful? And I go back to the example of this PowerPoint presentation. The reason it was successful was because I planned it out. I wrote down an outline of where I was looking at going. I took all my notes. I did research. I had my family, my wife especially, helped me out because PowerPoint was new to me. She taught me how to use PowerPoint. The third question is any of these successful events repeatable? So if you had a success, say it was a sale with a shop, or you got new accounts, or whatever it was you did that was successful, what was it that you did to make that thing successful? And then can you repeat that success again? Is it repeatable in a system? And if it is, write it down and do it again, because successes are awesome. The fourth thing I like to ask is, are there any things that you would have done different? The fourth question is, are there any things that you could have done to make this success even bigger? Now, I know success is a positive thing, and a good success is positive, but as a cliche I hear a lot out there in the business world is that good is the enemy of great, and great is the enemy of excellent. So if you had a good success, what was it about that success that you could have done differently and increased it to become an excellent success, or even a great? But what could you have done to do it better? Could you have gotten the order to be bigger? Could you have increased your prices to make the revenue come in bigger? Just think of different areas of what these successes were. Small, whether it was getting your kid to ride a bike, ride two wheels. This isn't just business. This is personal. The reflection of the year. I'm reflecting on everything. I'm reflecting on my parenting. I'm reflecting on myself as a husband, as a friend to my friends that I'm close to here in town, to you, the audience. Everything I'm thinking about in a reflection of successes and failures, and this is so important. And then the last thing I ask is, write down as many people as you can think of with whom you made a new relationship with. Anyone that had and continues to have a positive impact on your life. Throughout the year, we come and go across and have new people come into our life. Some come and go. Some come and they stay. Now, they may come and go, but they still stay through social media. They stay through texting, emailing, phone calls, whatever. But the point is think about those that you came across in your life that have been helped you grow as a person and had a positive impact. It could be a retail shop owner. It could be another glass artist. It could be a distributor, whatever. Just write them down. And then write down what was it about them that they had the impact on. Just a little side note for them. So to recap on the successes, the questions. The first question was, what success stands out the most from the previous year? Or what successes stand out the most from the previous year? The second is, what was it about each successful event that allowed them to be successful? The third part is, are any of these successful events repeatable? Fourth is, are there any things that you could have done differently to make the success even bigger? And then the last one was to write down as many people with whom you made a new relationship with that had a positive impact and continues to in your life. And by going through this process, you will really be able to sit down and honestly reflect on this past year and where you went and where you came from. And then I suggest you take these same questions and every quarter go through the process of printing out this questionnaire and filling them out. And as you go through this process, you'll get better and better at really reflecting and having a good mindset and being mindful about what it is that you're doing on a daily basis. You know, if you have a routine you want to get going, if you want to get up in the morning earlier than normal, it means you need to go to bed earlier. There's different things about that. And those are simple successes. They're also simple failures. I really hope that this helps just kind of open up your mindset and really think and to reflect upon 2016. Because 2016, for a lot of us, was an incredible year. For some of us, it sucked. For some of us, it was both. There was a mixture of both. So thank you so much for tuning in to episode 142 as we talk about reflecting in 2016. And again, this can be reflections on a week, a month, a quarter, however you want to go about it. And thank you for tuning in. Look forward to next episode on 143. And have another topic I will be getting into on that interview and conversation, which is all about the idea of having confidence in yourself when you sell your work and having this little underlying feeling of guilt. And I'm sure we've all experienced it, and we're going to be getting into that discussion, which I'm excited about because it's definitely important. Until then, we'll talk to you. Take care. Love you. And Happy New Year. 2017 coming up soon before we know it. Peace. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Glass Roots Art Show. Now entering its 9th year, Glass Roots is designed for artists and distributors who wish to do wholesale business with shops and galleries. Located at the Monona Terrace Convention Center on beautiful Lake Monona in downtown Madison, Wisconsin, the art show features at least 25 glassworkers demonstrating and creating pieces for public viewing, live and silent auctions, raffles, and approximately 40 booths consisting of raw material supplies, functional and non-functional art, and glass charitable organizations. This year, in 2017, Glass Roots will be held October 9th through the 11th, and for any more information, just go to glassrootsartshow.com. That's glassrootsartshow.com. This episode is also brought to you by The Flow magazine. Since its inception, the focus of The Flow has been to provide a bond among members of the lampworking community. This has been accomplished by developing relationships with the finest artists and sharing their techniques with you through in-depth, step-by-step tutorials. In every issue, you can enjoy great content with the hottest artists and cutting-edge techniques using the latest industry products. These features, along with the continuation of our Women in Glass edition, Glasscraft Emerging Artist Awards, inspiring gallery showcases, dynamic general interest articles, as well as health and safety information, make The Flow the leading international lampworking journal. For more information or to subscribe to The Flow, go to theflowmagazine.com. That's theflowmagazine.com.